If your workload feels out of control at the moment, you're not alone. I'm hearing this more and more from people across all levels. I'm busy all the time. I'm constantly under pressure. I'm trying to keep up, but it never seems to ease. And what most people do in that situation actually makes it worse. They say yes to everything. They try to cope silently. They push through. They hope it settles down. But here's the reality. Workload pressure doesn't fix itself, and silence doesn't solve it. If anything, it builds. So in this video, I want to show you how to take control of your workload properly, without burning out and without looking like you cannot cope. Let's start with what's really going on, because workload pressure doesn't usually arrive all at once. It builds gradually. A new task here, another responsibility there, something urgent gets added, something else doesn't get removed. And over time, your workload increases, but the expectations stay the same. And here's the key issue. No one has actually stopped to clarify priorities. So everything starts to feel important, everything starts to feel urgent, and you're left trying to manage it all. That's where the pressure comes from. It's not just the volume of work, it's the lack of clarity and control. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Because most people know they're overloaded, but they don't do anything about it. Why? Well, there are a few common reasons. First up, they don't want to look weak. They think, if I say I'm struggling, will that make me look like I cannot cope? So they stay quiet. 2, they don't want to say no. They feel pressure to be helpful, to be seen as reliable. So they say yes, even when they know they shouldn't. 3, they assume it's expected. They think, well, this must just be part of the job. So they accept it, without questioning it. 4, they wait too long. They hope it will settle down. They think, I'll just get through this week. But the week becomes a month and the pressure builds. So, what you end up with is this. Capable people doing too much with no clear structure and no communication, and that leads to stress, mistakes, and eventual burnout. So what's the shift? This is the most important part. You need to move from, I need to get everything done, to, I need to manage priorities clearly. Now that's a completely different mindset. Because here's the truth. You are never expected to do everything at once. But you are expected to manage your work, communicate clearly, prioritize effectively. Once you understand that, you stop trying to cope and you start to manage. Now, let's make this practical, because this only works if you apply it. Step 1, get clear on what you're doing before you say anything to anyone else. You need clarity yourself. So ask, what am I currently working on? What deadlines exist? What actually matters most? Because if you're unclear, well, you can't communicate clearly. Step 2, stop silent overload. This is where most people go wrong. They carry the pressure, but don't communicate it. And silence creates problems. Others assume you're fine. More work gets added, pressure increases. Silence equals pressure, communication equals control. Step 3, communicate clearly. Now this is critical. This is where everything changes, and this is where people need exact phrases. So when new work is added, instead of saying, yes, I'll take that on, say, I can take this on, but I'll need to understand what should be prioritized alongside my current work. Now, when you're already overloaded, you can say, I'm currently working on X and Y. How would you like me to prioritize this? Or, when something has to give, to take this on properly, I'll need to move something else. What would you like me to focus on first? Or when you want clarity, I want to make sure I'm focusing on the right thing. Can we confirm the priorities here? Now, notice something important. You're not complaining, you're not refusing, you're managing the work. That's a completely different message. So now let's deal with what people are really worried about, because this is what stops them. Will this make me look like I can't cope? No. In fact, the opposite is true. Clear communication makes you look more capable because you're thinking ahead, managing workload, and protecting quality. Will I be seen as difficult? Well, not if you're structured and professional. There's a big difference between saying, I can't do this, and saying, let's clarify priorities. So what if they expect me to just get on with it? Well, then clarity becomes even more important, because an unmanaged workload leads to mistakes, missed deadlines, reduced performance, and that reflects worse on you. So let's look at what happens over time. If you don't take control, pressure increases, quality drops, stress builds, and you risk burnout. And eventually, you may be seen as struggling, inconsistent, and overwhelmed. On the other hand, if you do take control, you become more focused. Your work improves. You communicate clearly. You're seen as organized and capable. And that leads to something important. You become more promotable because you're no longer just doing work. You're managing it. So if you take one thing from this, workload pressure is not a sign you're failing. It's a sign you need structure. And once you learn how to clarify priorities, communicate effectively, manage expectation, everything changes. You feel more in control, you perform better, and you position yourself much more strongly. Now, if you want a structured step-by-step way to develop these skills, that's exactly what I teach in my Ascend program. Because your career and your workload shouldn't be left to chance. They should be managed by you. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment with your biggest takeaway. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like these. I'll see you soon.